Hi, it's Dr. Joanny Liu, and welcome back to an exciting program today because I want to talk to you about one of the shining stars at the Olympics last year in Rio. 2016 games were a big deal for a lot of young people, not excepting the young lady that you see right in front of you right here. Her name is Rosie MacLennan. And I'm so happy to be here. It's a bright, sunny day in Calgary, Alberta. It's 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time in Canada, and I want to welcome you to Overcoming Adversity. So here I am, if you got friends that you'd like to share information with, send them over to this link right now because I'm going to be starting to tell the story of Rosie MacLennan. Now, Rosie was at the Summer Games in Rio last year, and she definitely had to conquer adversity. And she successfully defended her Olympic gold medal that she got in 2010 in London. And what she does is she does a trampoline, and she's quite the athlete. I was totally fascinated by her when I first saw her in 2010, and she was the only Canadian to get a gold medal that year. Now, the thing about her is that in between the London Games and the ones in Rio, the 4 years in between, she actually got a concussion. And, you can imagine that anybody who's doing trampolining is probably going to be coming up with all kinds of situations to get a concussion. After all, they're bounding up into the air, and God knows, they probably have some way of staying on the spot, on the trampoline. And it takes a lot of skill and probably a lot of intuition in order to keep safe in a sport like this, because the higher you jump, the better your somersaults and all that are going to be, right? So you've got to give yourself as much room as possible. I guess the thing is that because she did have a concussion about, I don't know, maybe 18 months before the Rio Olympics, she had a lot of recovery to do because she was told to take 5 months off. Now, taking 5 months off for an ordinary person can cause atrophy in muscles. It can cause weaknesses, and you lose strength, and so it's not just the physical aspect that gets weakened, it's also the mental, emotional stuff that gets weakened, because when you're a high potential, high performance athlete like Rosie MacLennan, you're going to have all kinds of competitions lined up. You've got travel plans to make, and you've got to keep to a practice schedule that is going to keep you in shape and going to keep you motivated, and it's going to keep you so not just in that top physical shape, but of course in top mental, emotional state, because once you get through all this other stuff, all the physical stuff, which more than likely your competition has access to, what really matters is your mental game, right? Because 100% of success is going to be whether you think you can or cannot succeed. And so here's a girl, a young woman, who comes into Rio, and she is definitely the favorite because she was still managing to win her competitions up until that point. But the thing is that apparently she still had symptoms of her concussions. Now, she went through mental exercise, she went through that rest, cognitive and physical rest for 5 months. She went through mental training. She had to go through some ocular training as well for her eyes. So she did as much as she could within the realms of what they can offer these days. And it's kind of always funny because even with the mental stuff, I'm sure it's mostly about whether you can do math and memorize and all this stuff, because she did have some trouble talking. And she didn't just have one concussion, she actually ended up with two. So maybe it's because she tried to go back too early, and I think that's when they finally told her to just rest, right? And so this is what happened. I mean, she had to overcome the break that she was forced to take. She had to rebuild herself, and then when she finally did get the okay to go back into her sport, oh, thank you very much for your hearts, I love you too. Then they had to prepare her in such a way that she didn't freak out. So, you know, that's the thing, because you can fall into habit and you can fall out of habit. And if you know anything about athletics, you know, is that, hi there, that, man, you know, if you're out of doing something that you love doing and you're practicing at it all the time, yeah. When you're practicing it all the time, thank you for your wonderful hearts, and you fall out of that habit, then you have to slowly get back in. But, you know, you've got the Olympics coming up, and you've got other competitions coming up in preparation for the Olympics, so it's not a small deal. So for her to overcome everything that she had gone through, the two concussions, and still going through the competitions still with symptoms, that took a remarkable amount of courage. It took an awful amount of perseverance and self-confidence, because she knew that she could overcome these things which were inside herself. I mean, we're always being tested, right? And we definitely test ourselves all the time. We test ourselves all the time. In fact, we're often our worst critics. So she had to overcome not what other people were saying, but what she was probably thinking at the time. And, you know, I watched her in her final, in the medal round, and her performance wasn't perfect like it was in 2010. And in fact, there, you know, I think the judges were actually a little generous, because she definitely made a mistake in there that could have cost her a bunch of points. But I think because of her overall performance was so good that they gave her the points, and she won her second gold medal. And, you know, the thing is that it wasn't just because she won that gold medal that was so impressive. It was because she was defending her title from 2010, from the London Olympics. And the fact that she was already, you know, going through all these other challenges, physical and mental, and the fact that she did it, you know, she won everything. And even though it wasn't a perfect performance, but heck, you know, she still had that belief in herself. She probably had a great support system that was behind her. And that's always really important, is choosing who your friends are, okay? Choose who your friends are. Those people who are going to be successful and are cheering you on, they want you to be successful too. So make sure that you have friends who, and a support system, a real support system, who are out there to challenge you, to encourage you, to help you move on, okay? Don't hang around with people who are bringing you down, and you know if they're bringing you down because it feels, it feels down, okay? So choose your friends really carefully. So Rosie MacLennan got the job done. She did it for herself, she did it for Canada, and she also, you know, so she was the first in her sport and trampoline to defend her title, and she was also the first Canadian to defend her title as an individual athlete. So she had a lot to be grateful for and a lot to be thankful for, and we also have a lot to be proud of for her, you know, as being, for me, being a Canadian. So I love you too. I love those hearts. Thank you so much. I love it. You're just wonderful. So having a concussion is not the end of the world, okay? In fact, it's just the beginning, in order to explore yourself. Because whenever we are stopped dead in our tracks in life, it is time for us to take a step back and to think about what is going on in our lives, what's making us unhappy, and how we can turn that around. Because in truth, that is the only thing that we can really do. We have control over our own lives and nobody else's and nothing else. But we do have control. Yes, thank you. We do have control over what we think, what we do, how we feel about things, and to make the changes that are necessary. And sometimes it's going to take courage, it's going to take bravery, it's going to take real courage and real bravery to step out of who we were into what we really want to be, okay? All right, so if you know anyone who's got a concussion right now or is suffering from post-concussion syndrome, please send them over to Amazon to pick up my best-selling book, Heal Your Concussion, How to Quickly and Effectively Get Back in the Game. Super motivated. Yes, so am I. Awesome. So have an awesome day. Bye.